afternoon, and here we are. Today we're going to present our our supply chain management assessment, talking about Glastonbury portable toilets and how we procured it using the purchasing cycle. As we all know, Glastonbury Festival is a huge music and performing arts festival, attracting over 210,000 attendees annually. So every year it's being held. And the budget for this whole festival is around 60 million. So you can just imagine how big it is, judging from the budget itself. In this case, that means it's a logistical nightmare to plan all the necessary products and services needed to host this event. So we're going to go through the purchasing cycle next.
The purchasing cycle. The purchasing cycle, according to Lessons et al. 2020, can be defined as a managerial function which entails sourcing, selecting, and contracting the right materials needed by a business or a company or an institution to attain its business objective. Or in other words, the purchasing cycle is the acquisition of goods and services needed by a company to attain its business objective. And then moving on to the next, we have importance of the procurement cycle or supply chain management. First, we have cost efficiency. Effective procurement strategies can help reduce costs by sourcing out quality materials at affordable prices. And then we have quality assurance or quality assurance or control. Procurement ensures that the quality of the goods and services which are being purchased meets the standards for the production. We have next, timeliness. In order to maintain the production schedule, procurement enables that the goods and services which are being purchased arrive at the appropriate time. And then the last but not the least, we have risk management. Procurement helps to identify the possible or potential risks in the supply chain process, such as we have supplier reliability, we have market fluctuations, allowing companies to plan effectively. Moving on to the next.
All right, we go to the first step of the purchasing cycle, which is requirements. So requirements is basically knowing what the exact product you want. So we as Glastonbury, we need toilets to cater the attendees and the staffs, whoever attends to the festival. So basically, we are going to cater 210,000 people, including the staffs and everyone. And the basic rule of purchasing toilets are so basically one toilet per 75 women, one toilet per 100 men, 400 men, sorry, and one urinal per 100 men. And the second requirement is basically it has to be environmentally friendly. Since we are doing it in a farm, we focus on sustainability. And the third requirement is the toilets we are getting we're taking it for a span of 5 days, one day counting to assemble the toilets in the farm, in the venue itself. Moving on, the second step is specifications. So specifications is basically a detailed description of what your requirement is. So in this case, the specified product from the toilets, we're getting compost loose. So the compost loose, we are ordering 210 compost loose, since 1,100 are being sponsored by NatureWorks. The other specification, as I spoke before, it should be environmentally friendly, and also they should provide sanitary supplies, toiletry supplies, and also be able to be accessible by disabled attendees as well. Moving to the third step, which is make or buy. So make or buy is basically what like it talks about, make or buy. You either make the product or you buy the product. So as things become more advanced, businesses often depend on specialists rather than doing everything themselves to save time. So we as a festival, we do not have the money, we do not have the time, or we do not have the expertise or resources to make the toilets. So being realistic, we plan to purchase the toilets from the companies Ian's gonna talk about later. So since they have the expertise, the materials, resources, and the time to make them. Yeah, moving on to Ian.
To meet Glastonbury's scale and standards, our suppliers must fulfill a strict criteria, as says here as source specification. The criteria that they have to meet is they have to follow the UK health and safety standards to make sure that the toilets are healthy and safe for everybody to use. The ethical waste disposal services, they must ethically dispose of all the waste accumulated by the toilets. On-time delivery, right quantity provided, we don't want any more or any less. Cleaning services provided, as we don't have the necessary amount of staff in order to check each and every toilet that is clean and safe to use. Accessible for disabled attendees. And additionally, our suppliers must have an ISO 9001 certificate in order for us to feel assured that the toilets we're receiving is gonna be top notch, the quality is gonna be high. Also, since Natural Events is supplying over 1,100 compost toilets, we came to a conclusion that one additional supplier would be more than enough to cover the remaining 210 compost toilets needed. As we came to that conclusion, if we had one more supplier, would have posed an increasing risk on logistical problems and errors to arise. In this phase, the source selection is where we're going to choose what suppliers we're going to go to. And we shortlisted the suppliers to three main ones, which is Blue Box Hire, Luz for Do's, and Tadis Environmental UK, as they all have a vast experience in handling large festivals like Glastonbury. We wanted to appraise them in order to make sure that we're choosing the right supplier among the three. So we did a vendor rating using 6 key performance indicators: delivery time, competitive price, to meet our specifications, toiletry supplies, after-sales services, and sanitation. These are the performance indicators that they have to meet the criteria. As we went on to our vendor rating, we came to a conclusion that Tadisai with the lowest amount of points would be our main supplier. As Bailey noted, that using appraisals, we can find out which supplier we can give the tender, and we'll be assured that they will meet all the required specification that we need, that us and the Glastonbury needs in order to function good. Going on to contracting.
So contracting is the next step in our purchasing cycle. What contracting means is like an agreement between two parties, in this case, a buyer and a seller. In this case, we are the buyers. We're trying to buy toilets from Tadis. So our contract will be an e-contract, which will have a fixed price and which will also include awards and consequences for field services. The contract will start with an offer and will clearly state the terms of agreement, which the goods will be provided for, which are the portable toilets, the toilet supplies, and the cleaning services during the event. As the event is continuing, we'll need cleaning services. So the contract is legally binding, and it will be written form and also electronic. Also, the contract will include the delivery schedules, payment terms, and penalties and rewards. So the last thing about the contract is the payment will be done 50 days after the event is completed. So moving on to the receipt and payment, since we are using the smart legal contracts, it will automatically generate the invoice and the changing orders and receipts as we progress. So Tadis, as our supplier, will come prior to the event, check the location, and see where they'll place the toilets. So when the toilets arrive, we'll check the quality, and then we'll pay them 50 days after the event is done. Next, to contract management.
So speaking on our contract management, basically contract management involves the handling agreements with our suppliers and ensuring both parties, which is we the contractors and the contractee, which is the Glastonbury, to fulfill each duties and fulfill every obligation and maximizing values, which is quite crucial when it comes to contract management. Basically, the keynote we make sure we focus on was ensuring that we meet basically the international standard, you know and also you know we went ahead to make sure we have our staff being present, ensuring the international standard are being met, making sure all sanitary items, cleaning services are being available for attendees to use. Also, we also implement the UK, which my colleague said earlier, ensuring the UK safety and standard are also met. And also, we have we also try to meet a correct numbers of toilets for this Glastonbury event. Like Belly said, managing a contract effectively, contributes towards adding a value by reducing the risks of non-conformance and also ensuring continuous of supply.
Now we're going to talk about decommissioning and disposal. Decommissioning is a process that is very crucial for environmental safety, public health, and regulatory standards. And this process entails planning and preparation, site assessment, dismantling, decontamination, waste management, site assessment again, final inspection and documentation. So after the Glastonbury Festival, we assess the conditions of the compost toilet and we consider three main factors, which is first reuse. We decided that the toilets that were not used and were still in good condition will be cleaned and stored for future use, which helped us to attain cost effective. Then we considered return. Based on the contract we had with our suppliers, we negotiated and decided to return the toilets that were not used. And then we have the last, which is disposal. We use the recycling method to dispose toilets that were damaged and non-usable.
So based on the knowledge and experience we've learned from this Glastonbury festival, was understanding how to source out reliable supplier to provide us the best quality for our attendees or for our contractee. So inventory, we also learned that in a way to manage our inventory. Basically, we learn from this event, we learn a way to evaluate how many units should be ordered for each event we might have in the future. And also, and most importantly, basically, was the cost management. We learn how to examine our expenditures, our expenses on each event we might have in the future, in order for us to identify areas for cost savings and reduce bulk purchases and excess expenses so we can eventually make profits. So moving on to the next one, was this insights, this whole experience, gave us this whole experience we've gotten from being hired consultant during this Glastonbury festival did not only enhance our experience, basically, it enhanced our experience, for our future, events we might hold, for different concerts, for different events, and also. So, moving forward to the references we had for this whole for our presentation was, Bailey. Most of the time, Bailey, Bailey reference was, made an impact
Yeah,
for our Bailey reference made an impact in our presentation because, there are some insights on his procurement ideas that he had in his book, which was quite helpful. So thank you. That's all.
Thank you
Okay,
so
you're
much
done.
for listening.
Thank you.